Why does it seem like a lot of men these days have weird ideas about being manly? Jackal bro influencer culture is a thriving industry. As soon as I meet any of these people I just can't help but roll my eyes and wonder how they got here. Same here, but this is nothing new. The whole needing to be the alpha has been around forever, and to a man every single person that ever said to be was the biggest fuck up and were just total failures. I think being a man is pretty fucking gay. I literally have a dick and touch it. The podcast Behind the Bastards did a fun 2-part series on this a few months ago. According to that, there's a panic about a crisis in masculinity every couple decades, really never stopping. But there are spikes now and then. It goes into the history of masculinity grifters going back to the early 20th century and onward, and how they compare to the social media-driven ones we have now. Basically, as long as there are insecure people, there will be scammers trying to make money by telling those insecure people what's wrong with them and why the scammers are selling the true solution. For women, that tends to be targeted more at physical appearance. For men, it can certainly involve that too, but more broadly, it's more a vague notion of you're not manly enough, but some guy on YouTube, can tell you how to become manly enough. Now that we live in an attention economy, these guys can make plenty of money just by being famous and getting people to look at their content and sell ads off that. But there's no shortage of dick pills, protein powders, vitamin supplements, self-help books, and God knows what else that they'll shill to you too. People don't seem to understand how seismic the cultural shifts have been around what being a real man in the last 25 years. The old archetype is dead, and now on the internet, only the loudest, most extreme examples of masculinity get any attention. The alpha male dude bro was a theatrical stereotype when I was younger, now it's evolved into an ideology. Rolling your eyes and moving on is the best way to deal with this type of behavior. The fewer people giving these guys attention, positive or negative, the quicker it's failure. Alpha is just another way to say they are insecure as a man and need to show everyone that they are not insecure. I have noticed a lot of men who act like this have jobs that aren't traditionally manly, like an office job or something like that. My guess is they are insecure and don't feel manly, so they overcompensate. My theory is they had a bad experience with a girl, so it's their defense mechanism to blame all of them. Some women do that too when they had a bad XBF. Insecurity. It's literally just insecurity. I have to say I hear about this, but fortunately don't experience it directly very much, if at all. The fear is the toxic man you've described. The reality seems to be many thoughtful men able to see nuance in issues, work with others, and not just be the lone wolf or alpha, as they put it. It's only a thing if we let it be. Throughout history, you see this happen time and time again when women's rights start to expand. There are some really good books out there on the history of misogyny. Women, Men, and the Whole Damn Thing by David Lesser is a great one. Men need to take it upon themselves to read these things and learn. We all should. Humans have always had weird ideas of what's manly or womanly. The internet hasn't helped that. I like to go antique shopping. I go to sip and paint classes with my wife. I go to plays. I can't stand sports. I love alt feminist rock, folk music, and indie films. I meditate while petting my dog every day. I have a gratitude journal. I like burning incense and watching birds in my backyard. I'm a coal miner by trade. There was a time in my 20s when I tried to be the image of masculine. I wore tactical clothing. I was annoyingly patriotic. Black and white flags all over. Finally, a friend of mine who actually went to Iraq kindly informed me that the black and white flag is reserved for people who served overseas. I felt like a tool and started to re-examine everything. Now I just like what I like. I don't let expectations rule me. I'm married to a woman who does the same. I still display a red, white, and blue flag because I love having the liberty to do whatever the hell I want. I think that liberty should extend to people who are different from me, so I also display a pride flag in June. I've honestly never felt more like a man than I do now. The first act of violence that patriarchy demands of males is not violence toward women. Instead, patriarchy demands of all males that they engage in acts of psychic self-mutilation, that they kill off the emotional parts of themselves. Bell hooks. They don't have dads. This is a lack of dad problem. I think most of the men you're talking to are either Andrew Tate followers or just generally fallen down the whole manosphere part of the internet where misogynistic dipshits live. It's always been this way. They've always existed, sadly. Very insecure about their own sexuality makes you put down others. It's what makes them feel strong. Imagine being the biologist that made a wrong assumption about wolf pack culture that ended up creating the lingo for the worst men to come together and use as if it were true.